time.
You have to be in charge tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to do so great.
You are. You're going to be fantastic at this. I believe in you.
I have lots of picks.
We are ready to begin.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Arts Commission meeting for Thursday, August 15th. And do roll call.
Thank you. I'm happy to. Amanda Allwine,
Present.
Tima Carlson,
Present.
Emma Lugo,
Present.
Josh Planton,
Present.
Choir Hugon,
Present.
Rebecca Sierra.
Present.
Terrific. I'm noting that Trieste Andrews has an excused absence, and we are anticipating Daria Loy to join us remotely as the meeting continues.
Okay. All right. Does anyone, I'm just going to move on to adoption of the agenda. Does anyone see any need to change the agenda at all? Okay. Do we need motions to, Denise said we didn't need that.
Yeah, so if there is no need to change the agenda as published, we can continue, we can move on.
Okay.
Here comes Ms.
All right. And we're moving on to approval of the minutes. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes from last month.
Thank you, Emma. Anyone else?
Seconded.
Wonderful. All right, minutes approved.
And I will note that Karen Berg has joined the meeting.
Hi, Karen. All right, public comments? Nope. All right, let's move on to our discussion items.
Well, terrific. Thank you, choir. I'd like to invite James Graham up to the dais to lead our discussion. As I think folks know, James is the Economic Development Manager for the City of Oregon City.
Thank you, Ann, and good evening, Arts Commission. I think the last time we talked with me to you was November of 2023. It's a little while ago. And since then, you all have been doing a lot of important work. I love the arts. Just about all of my friends are artists. And I live vicariously through them because I have no talent. But nevertheless, I think they keep me around just so I can do their taxes for free, quite frankly. But it's been a little while, and in that you're doing a number of things. For instance, you're managing a grant program, small and large grants. You identified a sculpture who will be replacing the old one on 7th and Center Street. You've done a number of murals since the last time we talked. You've also participated in the 100th anniversary of the Arch Bridge. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And then you also did an inventory of art around the city to triage some art that might be damaged. And then also, you're embarking on a new marketing strategy. And I think do you have the PowerPoint up?
Yes, James, I have that ready to go, but I haven't brought down the monitor, but the projector. That would be helpful.
Well, while she's doing that, because you've been doing so many things, I thought it was important to touch base with you because I think it's now time to ratchet up a bit, to let the public know that you're here. And we are ready to engage them in the arts in ways that they haven't recognized. Because, as you know, lots of people use the arts, but they don't even know it.
Yeah.
Or whether there are people who are buying baseball tickets, do they notice the art, the graphics on the ticket? No, it's art. Whether they are also buying some type of outfit, but there's a lot of beautiful art on a lot of outfits, but sometimes they simply don't know it. So there's a lot of opportunity here. And I wanted to talk to you about art awareness in Oregon City. And the last time we talked, I shared with you some information about the art community. And there are, based on the U.S. Bureau of Statistics, there are over 2 million artists in this country. And about a little over 54% of them are artists, the artists are women. And a little over 45% are men. Now, the average age of artists is 40 years old. And the most common ethnicity among artists is white, followed by Latino, followed by Asian, and then unknown. Most artists are in demand in Los Angeles, California, and of course, that's reasonably what to expect. I believe art is important. It attracts high-income consumers. It unifies the community. It has natural allies, such as retail and restaurants and entertainment venues. It supports jobs directly and indirectly. But most residents in Oregon City don't really know the Arts Commission. And so the challenge that we really want to engage in is to increase that awareness amongst our citizenry here in the city. And one way to do that is it's important that the Arts Commission look at establishing, if you haven't done it already, an administrative policy that basically says that anything you've been involved with, anything you've paid for or granted funds to, needs to recognize you as a contributor to that effort. Everything that you do. When I heard about Art for Every Heart, I thought it was ingenious. This is a great tagline. And it's a tagline now, but in time it will become a brand if you focus and you use it everywhere. Brands are established over time and through reputation. So tagline by itself doesn't mean that you have a brand. You have to do things that constantly revisits that tagline. And over time, people begin to associate you with that tagline, such as, good Campbell soup. That's an old tagline, but it's been around for decades and decades. And the brand needs to be seen. So in terms of the goals, we really should be looking at ways to increase the number of young people with the arts on a continual basis, particularly people who are between the ages of 20 to 35. That's a large segment of people in Oregon City. We should support initiatives that make arts relatable. There are a lot of people in this city who really do think that arts is something of a hoity-toity kind of thing. And most men in this city are not involved with the arts. Because they're not. That's just the truth. And children are involved in the arts through their school or Sunday school. But the art is important for all kinds of reasons for children, as you can imagine. So here I'm here to share with you a strategy and to offer the Economic Development Department as a partner in raising the visibility of the arts. I mentioned branding a few seconds ago. And so it's important to create or use existing programs to reinforce that tagline. That tagline really should be affixed to every RFQ, RFP, and also when you approve murals, that tagline should be somewhere discreetly, even on the murals. I mentioned young people. And one idea I'd like to address with you is that young people can be involved in the arts through healthy, competitive ways. Matter of fact, old people can also be involved with the arts in healthy, competitive ways. For instance, music. Oh, there could be all kinds of music-oriented competition that the Arts Commission could sponsor. And the winner gets to play in a local venue, giving that artist a venue that they never would have had. Culinary. There are a lot of people who love to cook, and they play with cooking in different ways. But it is art. And I think that people who really love to cook would love an opportunity for others to taste what they do. So the winner in some type of event or a venue where you can raise the visibility of those people who love to cook would get their recipe featured in a local restaurant. Sculpture. The sculpture is one of those very visible things that one can do, and the winner, of course, would get approval to establish more public art around the city. Murals. Murals are an important element of what you do as a regulator of them. But there could be competitions with regard to murals, and the winner, of course, would get their display on the building. And if they need help with assistance, the Economic Development Department would help them. There are ways to also establish partnerships. For instance, I think it was last year I mentioned to you the idea of what we call CAB, Commerce, Art, and Beer, where a competition would, amongst artists, to develop a communicative glass or design on a glass used by participating breweries. Now, the Art Commission would pick the winner, and then the brewers would use that commemorative glass to serve a special beer. And of course, every beer that's sold, $1 would go to the artist, and $1 would go to the Arts Commission. Another way of raising funds for the Arts Commission. There doesn't have to be only one brewer, it could be more than one. But you don't want too many because it needs to be special. And the beer needs to be special. And it's got to taste good if it's going to sell. So, and I bring this up particularly because there are businesses that I've talked to about this and would love to participate in such a thing. But it's up to you how creative and how engaged you want to use your own tagline. And that's going to be, that's very important. And then sponsorship statements, whether it's on the sculpture that's going to appear later on 7th and Center Street or something else. Yes, Art for Every Heart, made possible by Oregon City Commission, Arts Commission, should be everywhere that you are involved with. And then the Arts Commission itself should be involved in some upcoming initiatives that the Economic Development Department is involved with, particularly the DMO. You may have heard about the Destination Management Organization, where we are moving tourism from under the auspices of city government into its own separate legal form entity. And it will have a board of directors, and the Destination Management Organization will market Oregon City and its various assets regionally, statewide, within the country, internationally. And so we've hired a consultant that's working with us to establish that legal form of business. The DMO is expected to operate or be operated by professionals, paid professionals, because you cannot run a business on volunteers alone. That doesn't make sense. And then partner with the Three Rivers Guild and other groups that are directly involved in art and art promotion in one way or the other. I think it's this coming weekend or last weekend?
It was last weekend.
Last weekend,
Yeah.
there was an arts festival. That was a good opportunity for Arts Commission to be present and to hand out information about what you do.
And we were there, I think, yeah.
So, and other festivals are coming up, and other things are going to be happening, and these are just wonderful opportunities to get involved. So all I'm saying is that there are lots of opportunities for the Arts Commission. The staff, we're here to help you. We're here to guide you through the bureaucracy of city government, because it is like no other. You simply you operate as a commission and not as a private, nonprofit entity. You are a part of the government. And so for that point, you have to be careful. So with that said, any questions? Be glad to take them.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say this is really exciting. Thank you. I love the ideas that are presented in here. We've kind of touched on some of them, but there were some new ones too, and it's really great to see the support. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. And I think it's important just to focus. It's easy. It's actually easy to do a lot of different things and to go all over the do this and do that and do this, but it should come together to convey a message, a theme, and that theme really should be art for every heart. And so that's what I really do encourage, that you really give good, serious thought to that. Because the people that I've talked to, particularly the business community, would like to know what you're doing and would like to be a part of what you're doing. But like most businesses, they need a focus. They need to know who their partner is. And they need to be able to attract attention to their businesses as well as to you. So it has to be a win-win partnership for everybody.
Do you think it would be helpful if the Arts Commission had like a one sheet that had our tagline on it and that we told, described what it is that we do and some of the endeavors that we're involved in, and that we went and took them and introduced ourselves and handed them out to the businesses in here?
That would be helpful. Something like that would be helpful as well. But in addition to that, all these things we're talking about, something that actively engages you, would be something that the public will remember, particularly if it's done for people who normally are not interested in the arts. Now, 2 or 3 years ago, we did a survey of the community about art. And we asked, I think it was 10 or 15 questions to the community. And we received 200 responses from that survey. And some of the responses were very interesting. But one or two of the responses come to mind, and I probably won't forget it for a while. But they said, we like art, but no more public art. We want experiences. That was one comment. Another comment is art is challenging for us because we don't know what it means.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Well, I think too, a really big takeaway for the Arts Commission from that survey was asking people what type of art they wanted to see. And the number one thing that people wanted to see more of was music performances. And the number two thing was actually like gallery shows, like artist shows. And so that we've used that to steer a lot of our decisions and what we fund and projects we want to do. So that was extremely helpful.
Yeah, I'm glad you
really, when we're utilizing it, I feel.
Because it should have kind of informed your activities.
Yeah.
But everything you do from this point forward, use your tagline and use it because it is ingenious. It really is, and everybody likes it. So use it.
This person to thank, Rebecca.
It was good.
And to me, it seems that that's a fairly simple, thing that we can start implementing. One of the things I thought about many things. I really appreciate your presentation. And I wonder if in the upcoming, or in an upcoming magazine, one of those Oregon City magazines, like we could do an article about, and not just about us as the Arts Commission, but what I was thinking when you were talking, honestly, a lot about is the event that happened this past weekend, the Porch Fest. And while that wasn't funded by the Arts Commission,
Not this year.
Not this year.
not this year, but it wasn't funded by the Arts Commission, but it was art, right? And it was exactly what you were talking about. It was reaching out to that
25 to
25 to 30 or 20 to 35 age group, and it was engaging the whole community, and it was accessible. And, you know, I mean, if there could be just even an article about these are the type of things that are art, and we are excited about some, you know, these things happening and potentially supporting in the future. I think that would help connect people to what art is. And so I don't know if we can kind of talk about that, because again, that's kind of like getting both our name out in the sense of having the article written, but then sharing, you know, what people have done. And these are people that live here in the community that have taken this on to make it happen.
I feel there's two ways to get an article written. You could do press releases and contact journalists and be like, hey, are you interested? Here's a story for you. Or you could do paid advertisement.
Well, but the Oregon City little magazine that comes to your
the
house.
Trail News?
The Trail News.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, the Trail
I
News
agree
that
with
comes to everybody's house and has city-oriented things in it. So.
I do like the idea of press releases as well. I mean, as the Arts Commission, we could release press releases regularly. In terms of Porch Fest, we did release several press releases and had very little success getting any coverage from any media outlets at all. But
But next time you will, because
I hope so.
in fact, I was going to offer, you know, congratulations, Amanda. So when you and your team put on, I mean, like compared to last year, like holy cow, the second year was a lot bigger. I don't know if you want to take an advantage of this moment as James is talking about live performances and other things.
Yeah.
How you think the Porch Fest might grow?
Well, I don't want to jump in on James's time either, but we're really excited about how it went. In fact, we also had a survey that attendees completed, and one of the comments that we had from the survey was that the person was an older millennial, and they felt that Porch Fest was a great way to draw people in their age group out and into active community participation, which is what we really need. So we were high-fiving each other over that comment on our survey. But yeah, it did grow. We estimate about 2,500 folks attended. So 99.9% positive feedback. There's always going to be one person who complains about the noise, and we felt that if someone didn't complain, then we weren't really doing it right. It was great. Resounding positive feedback from all involved. And already we've had several businesses reach out about sponsorship for next year.
That's cool.
All within the first 48 hours. So I think that, it is a really good way. It's a great, and I hope that the Arts Commission, to be honest, next year, I hope we'll be able to award grants again and put Oregon City Arts Commission on that event. Instead of the city of, not the city of Oregon City, obviously, helped fund that this year too.
Well, you know, the other thing about all of this is that I was talking with Ann earlier this week about another initiative. I'll take a risk and mention it, Ann. And that is Life Series. We call it Life Series in art because the murals around this town, as you can see, tell a story about people who lived in those different times. Well, this is our time as we're living now. And there could be murals around town that depict life as we've experienced it in this time. Whether it's at play, whether it's some type of symbol or a mural about one another's commitment, romantically or in friendship, or something that's beautiful and basically depicts our relationship to one another. And then also there are other forms at work, the different types of work we do around the city, and the history. We got a lot of art around the city that depicts that depicts work of yesteryear. But a lot of I don't think of any mural that depicts the work that we do in this time frame. And then, of course, there's art about different types of life that we've all experienced, and so therefore, I think that it's important to sort of have that kind of art around town and increase the number so people can really know that you feel what they feel,
Yeah.
and an artist can be engaged in depicting the lives that we all feel, even in passing, art about passing. And so those are all it's real, it's all life. And it's nothing wrong with that.
I do see that both Tima and Emma have their hand up. Tima, I see you first. You want to ask a question or a statement?
Actually, Emma had her hand up before me.
Okay.
So.
Go ahead, Emma.
Okay. So, hi, James. Thanks so much for coming in.
Hi, Emma.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
So, James, you mentioned at the very beginning of your talk, you mentioned three ideas. You mentioned, well, four really altogether. First, you talked about maybe doing some kind of a cooking contest. And then you mentioned a sculpture contest, and then a mural contest. And then you brought up once again the idea about the beer stein, which is, those are all good ideas. So I have a couple of questions for you. One is, so I mean, we have done the sculpture. Maybe you could explain more what you mean, because I mean, we've done a sculpture quote unquote contest in the sense that we've like had a call out for public sculptures. We funded public sculptures, and we've gone through a selection process, which isn't exactly a contest, but it's sort of like what you're talking about. And we've done the same thing with murals. I mean, we've done several of those. So could you explain what the difference is between what you envision and what we've done in terms of giving out grants, or choosing people to be the recipients of the opportunity to do, like they did with the bathroom, like they did with, like we're doing right now with the sculpture. What would be different about how you're sort of coming to us to, encourage us to kind of rebrand ourselves? Could you address that?
I'd be glad to. It actually comes right down to what the prize is, in one way, and also some of the intricate details. Give you an example. The sculpture. A lot of artists do work to get noticed. And not only do they love their art, but they also do it to get noticed. They also do it to sort of represent a certain concept to the public eye. So we could have more sculpture in the city, and through a competition, those artists can get recognized on a level that they have not been recognized for in before, whether on television, in magazines, press releases, in schools, because usually sculptures tell a story. And when a lot of artists put up their sculpture, they don't have an opportunity to tell the story in terms of what they mean. And sometimes it's nice to really have an artist do, just like someone who's written a book, and they do a book signing, and people come to get an autograph or get a picture with the author. The same can be done with sculptures. So it raises the visibility of an artist and sort of personalizes or personifies that piece of art to the public. That's what I mean, and that could be the winner could receive that kind of notoriety through a marketing effort that's structured. With regard to culinary, the same thing could be culinary, but culinary is actually a little different in the sense that we have a culinary school. I think it's through the community college. And this is a way that students who want to get into the culinary profession can be in competition and be a part of a kitchen cook-off. And then, of course, the winner gets the notoriety and gets their recipe sort of featured in local restaurants. So it comes right down to how you celebrate the winner and what you expect the winner to do in that endeavor. Do you understand? I mean, did I answer your question?
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. It's a whole different level of thinking. It's art plus business plus showmanship. That's what it is.
Well, and I think too, you know, we have funded art and, you know, done calls for art, and those are all really important because they are giving professional artists an income to make art in the city. But I definitely feel like what you're saying is we need to rethink the community engagement part for sure. And like, instead of just doing a grant where people apply, maybe hold a contest and and I would still want us as an advisory board to be involved with arts that is chosen, but maybe get the community involved too, to like say what piece they like the best or whatever, and then like have an event like an unveiling or artist talks or things like that to get community engagement. And then the other side of that is business partnership. Is that kind of what you're?
Exactly right.
Okay, cool.
And keep in mind, keep in mind, you are part of the government, so you have a whole apparatus in this government to help. Like for instance, press releases. We have a communication department that can help you with press releases. You also have the economic development department who could help with marketing and promoting the arts. But take advantage of the apparatus that's here to help you, because once again, you don't operate as a separate entity. You're
Yeah.
part of the government.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I could just for a second, I want to piggyback on what James was saying. I think sculpture in some ways is a little harder to imagine contest regarding as opposed to culinary or music, just because of the kind of investment that typically is associated with a public sculpture. But I do like, you know, like right now with the 7th Street sculpture and the work that we're doing with Jenny Ellsworth, she's excited about getting community members involved with that. So I think if we highlight that as an arts commission and say, here's the artist that we've selected and she wants to invite community participation through this way.
Yeah.
Or we could do an art, I mean, I think there's a couple different ways to approach your suggestion, James, about sculpture in particular of those 4. Yeah.
I know Tima's had her hand up for a long time. Sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you. James, thank you so much for doing the presentation. It's much needed and a long time coming. I know we were talking of things for years, doing something like this, so thank you for bringing this up again. My question is, in terms for the economic development, is there is work going on trying to get a community art center? Because that's one of the primary things that the survey people were speaking on, that they want some form of a community center.
Well, to answer your question, as you can realize, that's a heavy lift, and it's more than a building, and it's millions of dollars. It's not a couple of thousands; it's hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Understood. Yes.
So,
But is the city working on trying to work with Parks and Rec or work with the school district or all the above to get something like this started?
not at this time because of the challenges associated with resources. But that doesn't mean that all of us can't be engaged in some way of sort of through some type of creative brainstorming process whereby you can, I used to run an incubator without walls, whereby instead of having a building, the businesses that normally would go to a building would actually have professionals work with them either online or somewhere else where they could, or at a community college or somewhere where they actually can get assistance for their business plan. It doesn't have to have four walls. But then you evolve into the four walls over time, but you don't start with the four walls. So there's opportunity to brainstorm on that concept, but it's going to take a little while.
I wanted to back up for a moment on the conversation about community engagement. And you may recall that a couple months back, Daria and I had been working on a giant spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet are all kinds of suggestions about how to expand on community engagement. And some of those we've already implemented in the few posts that we did. But I like the suggestions that are being made and, being able to use the city government resources to like kind of blow that out bigger. So that's something that we could revisit and talk about.
Yeah, and I know that you mentioned it briefly during one of our communications strategies, but I don't think that you and Daria have made a formal presentation that you came up with. So maybe we should plan that for September.
Okay, yeah.
Another thing that I think could be helpful, I'm sorry, did you have your hand up? There are a lot of community organizations out there that are already doing this stuff. So one thing that we might want to do as the Arts Commission is work on going out into the community, finding out what these organizations are, what they're doing, and how we can partner and support them, as opposed to trying to do everything ourselves.
That's true. And 'cause I think at one point you had people coming in talking to you.
Yeah, because we've had, Three Rivers Artists Guild come in and talk to us, and the Clackamas Art Alliance, and I think so far, it's kind of
We
it.
had a few organizations, and we might have had some government organizations come in as well.
Yeah. How, with the Economic Development Department, I feel like the last time we spoke about this, the outside entity was still being put in place. Am I correct in assuming that they are in place now? And I'm sorry, not Economic Development, Tourism. The Tourism Department, am I correct in assuming that that's in place and they are now doing our tourism, or?
No, it hasn't been finished. The consultants has just begun their work.
Okay.
We went through an RFP process to choose a consultant that could do this, and then we identified them. And then now they're going through the process of talking to different people in the tourism industry about their engagement, their past engagement, what they think this DMO should look like, and that type of thing, what it should do. I encourage the Arts Commission, and I'll be asked by the City Commission as to who should be on that who might be on that DMO, and I want to recommend the Arts Commission to have a representative on the DMO. It's only appropriate, it's only right that you should be present. But keep in mind that whenever the Arts Commission is engaged in something, you've got to, that one person speaks for the whole commission. So that one person has to get permission from all of you that they would take a position on a particular topic, and not just one person just do it, run with it, and then you all are left in the dust. You've got to speak as one voice, and anyone who wants to speak needs to get your permission, and you need to vote on that.
Yeah.
You need to cast a vote.
Yeah. Would it be productive in this meeting to throw it out there? Would anyone like to be that person? And okay, great. Can we have two people?
Well, it may be a little bit too early right now, but let the work of the DMO of the consultant finish their work, because in October they're going to make a report to the commission as to what their findings are.
Okay.
And they're also going to recommend to the commission the legal form of structure that the commission, that the DMO should take.
Okay.
And then from that point, it goes forward. And then it will be funded. And then you go with that.
Well, we want to be involved with that, and we already have 2 people, so is that, we're just going to wait for you to be like, hey, it's ready to go? Okay. We'll wait for you to tell us.
I wanted to, can I make a short comment about the Art for Every Heart tagline? That was actually a group effort. It wasn't just me. And so we worked really hard on that because we really wanted to honor all the different kinds of arts, like Porch Fest, like, the culinary school, like all kinds of writers, the Writers Guilds and things like that. And so I really appreciate the different ideas that you came with about exploring these other areas, because a lot of times people feel left out in art because they just think it's paintings. Or they think it's just photography. And it's not just visual, it's also performance art. And there's, drama and all kinds of dance and all sorts of other things. So I'm excited about this tagline because I feel like it embraces all of that and it leaves a lot of room. And I also feel like it fits really nicely with the new sculpture that Jenny's working on because of the heart element that's been incorporated into that. So I love the idea of putting that tagline on that piece of sculpture. And it would be really cool to have an event, an unveiling event, and people can go have pictures taken with her. And she's so personable and really wants to engage with the community. Like, this is a perfect opportunity for us to take advantage of that. And
And it'll be a great opportunity to celebrate her and celebrate the city's art. It's right on the prominent corner. Why not? And also the Arts Commission can, we were talking about all forms of art. There's nothing wrong with the Arts Commission supporting a band who might play downtown. So we have music playing downtown, I guess, every so often. And there's nothing wrong with the Arts Commission to provide a grant as part of the overall granting process to actually sponsor, along with DOCA, a band.
I will say sorry, Josh.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I will say that with ideas and implementing things comes funding, and we are not funded as much as we would like. As the amount of ideas that we have and things we could implement, the funding is not there to do it all. I will just put that. I'm sure that's citywide, government-wide, everybody-wide. Like, everybody's like, yeah, we could use some. So I'm just going to put that out there. But.
Well, Ginger, I'm glad you said that, because the cab idea that I just, commerce, art, beer, is a way for the Arts Commission to gain money. Because, when you think about it, if you have 2 or 3 breweries that are selling this kind of beer all over the city, and you get $1 for every, that's a pretty good chunk of change, as well as the artist gets compensated as well. So there are different ways that the Arts Commission can bring in revenue other than simply the government's contribution.
Right.
Josh, also, you had worked on a couple ideas for fundraising, right?
Yeah, so I guess maybe taking a step back, thank you for the presentation and the ideas. And I think everyone is excited to jump in on these, but I think, thinking about kind of the big picture here, take one step back. I don't think any one of us can say for sure that we as an Arts Commission have a unified vision of what we want to see going on in terms of arts in the next year, 2 years, 3, 5 years. And I think we need to take a step back kind of to what you were saying, James, that we need to put a strategy together for building our brand, building the relationships, and setting those goals that we can go out and obtain. And that helps us long-term in maybe getting more funding. Maybe we work on those projects that are either lower cost to begin with and build branding, or generate revenue for us that can go long-term towards other projects. But I think we need to, as an Arts Commission, actually take this as a moment to reflect and say, okay, where do we want to be in 5 years with arts in the city, and work our way back from there in terms of putting together a plan of action for that. And it doesn't have to be like everything to the dotted i's and crossed t's to perfect and detailed out, but at least a unified vision of where that is, so that we can take some of these projects that you've given us. I've also was kind of looking through past minutes. There's at least 25 to 30 other projects we've talked about at some point that have never moved anywhere, and we never really circled back to them, and we should start looking through that and having those discussions. Also thinking out loud, we've talked multiple times about getting prepped for the next biennium budget and coming with a plan to say, this is what we're going to do and this is how it's going to impact businesses and help grow tourism in the city, would be a great thing to be able to put forward and say, this is why we think the funding is important, and use that as hopefully as a incentive to get additional funding for these different projects.
But keep in mind, I'm offering partnership through the Economic Development Department. It was our department that actually got you the $40,000 to begin with. Thank you. And there is nobody else who's receiving as much money as you. So within the entire government apparatus. But I think this is an opportunity to diversify your revenue sources, so that because all things are not going to happen at the same level with government.
Yeah.
So there will be times where there'll be dry periods. And so if diversifying income, is nothing wrong with that.
Can I ask you a question? If we were to move forward with the cab idea, would that be something that we would do in partnership with the economic development team? Okay, cool.
Yeah, because agreements would have to be drawn up between the various parties in order to keep it on the up and up. The other thing is, the last thing I think I'll bring up is, and I think, Ann, we talked about this, but this should have to, at the next meeting, I hope you have an opportunity to have a discussion, because it has to be agendized, about the wall on Railroad Avenue. There's a huge wall on Railroad Avenue in an alley that we feel that would be a beautiful canvas.
Yeah.
And it's long, and I think it'll be a perfect place. But of course, in that particular area of the city, you just don't put up a mural because it's in a dark area. So it has to be lit. Yeah. And therefore, we will have to put lights there. So I don't want to talk about it too much because it's not agendized.
Yeah.
But we need to, this should be brought up at your next meeting so you can have a discussion, because that would be a beautiful project near the river. It's near the other murals. It would just set the stage.
Yeah. I think
Just pointing out, that's on the list that we've talked about before, and it never moved anywhere.
There you go.
So I think taking a look at those again, a lot of those again.
It would be cool if we had that list and each month with the agenda, it was just included with it, so that we always.
I can send it to Ann.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love to see it.
But a caution, once you partner with the Economic Development, we move. Economic Development Department move, and will tell you, we move. And we do stuff, and we've got a lot of stuff that's moving. So we don't ponder, we don't sort of play with something long periods of time. We actually follow through and implement things. So if once you partner, you'll just have to keep up with us, because that's the way it is.
I like that. I think Tima's had her hand raised for a little bit.
One question, Grand Ronde Tribe, are they part of the economic development? And two, twice we have applied for Railroad Avenue to have a mural, and twice we have been declined. So I would just like some feedback on that, please.
The Grand Run is always a part of what this, a part of what the city does. We, on a variety of projects, we get their input, not on everything the government does, but on things that are particularly important around their property. With regard to being turned down, there are reasons that you're turned down, and so therefore it's important to be very acquainted with the guidelines in the program, so that you don't run into a situation whereby you didn't do something and then you don't get approved and you wonder why. So
and one big barrier that has been removed in terms of people going after a mural was that we had on Railroad Avenue, was that we were under the impression until very recently, that we couldn't touch that without permission from the railroad. Well, I think it was
Since
about
1924.
since 1920, and then was it 3 weeks ago? It was about 3 weeks ago. It's super recent that we had a conversation with someone from the railroad and said, you know what, they couldn't find it either, and it turned out we found a document from, as Tima just said, from September or October of 1924, so like 100 years ago.
To the date, to the year.
So we now know that we do not need permission from the railroad to move forward with something on that. We do need to assess the condition of the wall and make sure it's in good.
Because we own it.
So that was a big barrier that got removed just very recently.
Yeah. So in partnership with the economic development, that project could move forward, but once, as I said, once you partner with us, we will roll with it. There's a lot of work to be done with something like that. I won't talk about it anymore because we haven't agendized it, and that's against the rules. So,
That's right. All right.
Super.
Thank you for your presentation.
My pleasure.
Thank you for investing in the Arts Commission.
Go art.
Yeah.
Thank you, James.
Tima, did you have anything to add? Because your hand was still up on the little thing, or did you say all you needed to say?
No, I just need to remove it. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No problem.
I do think that spreadsheet, when we go over it next month, will kind of help us organize so that we could be ready to roll more quickly with some of these things.
Do you mean the spreadsheet from Josh with different project ideas, or which
No,
spreadsheet?
the big one that Dari and I worked on.
The communication strategy, yeah, got it.
Yeah, it's not just communications, it was also like how to organize ourselves for RFQs and RFPs and, you know, what, I have to go back and look at it. It was really big. But there's a whole bunch that might help us like create some foundation that we can quickly make decisions using that matrix.
Thank you. And I'll include that with the agenda for next month if folks haven't had a chance. I don't think everybody's seen it, so.
No, I don't think so either.
Do you want to move on to the next discussion item?
Yes, please.
Report on meeting with city communication manager?
Yeah, we
was
did
that
have a
me?
little bit of conversation. Yeah. I don't know if there was any further update you wanted to provide concerning the meeting with the communications team.
Oh, you guys didn't talk about it last time?
A little bit, but.
Oh, okay. Since I wasn't here last month, I don't know what you covered, but it was a great meeting, and I feel like, you know, is it Josh? Is that his name? Yeah. Josh.
Jared, sorry.
Jared.
Jared Lyman.
That's Josh. And he shared with us like the branding guidelines for the city, things we can and can't do in terms of communication, how we're going to submit images and copy so that it can get dispersed out to the various social media channels. So that's kind of what we discussed. And then also this tagline issue, and then that got decided. I think Ann and Dari and I worked on that after he left. So that's about all I have to report, but it was very productive, and I felt really good about getting clear on just what we were talking about, like what is the Arts Commission brand, and how can we build on that so that people start to recognize us as, you know, helping make things more beautiful and fun and engaging and interesting in the city.
Thank you, Rebecca. I know we did touch on it a little bit at our July meeting, but I appreciate you adding in and filling in a little bit of the comments. And then I think, as James said, not only the Economic Development Department, but also the communications team are good partners for us. So, yeah.
Move on to public art restoration priorities.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with the real quick one. The Elks Lodge application. So that's been updated per their request on a few things. It's ready to be submitted. What we're waiting on right now is feedback from legal counsel on the discrepancy in the easement form. So section 1 states that the city has the easement so that it can come in and maintain the mural. Section 4 states that maintenance of the mural is under the Elks' responsibility, and there's even possible penalties if they're not able to maintain it, if it was, say, in an accident or damaged. So they're asking for clarification on that because it will require different internal approvals for them if it's one way or the other. So we're waiting for legal counsel to get back to us on that to just clarify the language a bit. So when we get that, they'll submit the application and we'll get reconvene or ask that the Enhancement Grant Committee reconvene a meeting to approve that. In terms of the other refurbishments, so I spoke with, or have been emailing with the artist who did the salmon mural. I found her online and was able to reach out and get in contact with her. She has stated that she would be willing to come and take a look at it and see what it would take to repair it. Oh, go ahead.
Is it the bench?
The bench.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, did I say mural?
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry. Salmon bench. We've asked a few other artists who kind of work in similar areas, but none of them were able to give us any kind of idea of what it would cost. So she said she would stop by. I'm not sure where she's based out of now, but she's still local enough that she could drive over to Oregon City. And I asked her just to give me a heads up when she's going, and I can even meet her there to discuss it a bit, to get more information from her on what it would take to repair. But anyway, the pricing for that has not been identified yet, and that was, I know, one of the ones we had thought about prioritizing. So unfortunately, I don't know where that's going to fall and what's going to be left over for other ones. Of the 100 or so pieces of art, 137 pieces of art or something like that, there's quite a handful of them that are in no way needing us to step in and do anything with. There's about 27 pieces that Public Works, we need to talk to them about possibly cleaning and a regular maintenance schedule with them on those. There's about 17 pieces that are in storage right now, and I think we should take a look at how they're being stored to make sure that they're not going to deteriorate over time in that storage if they're not being presented. And then there's about 6 pieces that really would need some type of repair work done. And besides the sound bench, most of those are murals. The concerning thing with that is a little bit of what we run into with the Elks Lodge mural is that if we restore a mural and it needs to be, does it need to be reapproved by us as an arts commission? Can we actually fund something we're approving? Right now, it sounds like that's not what we can do, and we don't have a mechanism to pass that responsibility on to, say, the city commission to do either. So we need to take a look at that if that's going to be a possible hindrance to it. It might not be. We're still waiting on legal counsel to get back to us too on whether or not restoring a mural is the same as approving a new mural. I'm not sure, what the difference is there, and they were supposed to look at that a few weeks ago, and I haven't heard back from them yet. But I know there's been, when I came to meet with Ann about the enhancement grant funds, I guess that day or the day before, a gentleman from one of the buildings that has a mural on it that is in need of restoration was asking who should be taking care of it, because he wasn't sure if he needed to be updating it or the city. So there seems to be some interest, at least from some of the business owners that have those murals, to possibly restore them. It's just, what can we do at this point to do that without getting into legal red tape? And I know when I spoke to the city manager a while back about resolving the last mural application, it was a little bit concerning to be having the city pay for repairs to a private business. So I think he just raised the caution of that just to us as a commission. So again, those pieces that really need the restoration are going to be the ones that are going to be very tricky, I think, to navigate and get to a solution on.
Yeah.
So.
Can I, this involvement of with the Arts Commission and murals is a very, very, it's different and it's very sensitive when when you're talking about murals, that's one thing. Now, when you're talking about other forms of art, you can get more directly involved. But in that you actually are sort of like a governmental body reviewing the murals, you cannot you have to be arm's length. You're a judge. Judge can't get involved in the murder case. You've got to sort of be arm's length. You can't be doing a lot of work for the applicant because then you become staff. That's why you have Ann. So Ann should be doing that work, not you, in regard to helping, advising the owner of that work because you're the judge. The other thing is the dividing line is keep in mind that because you are the judge, you cannot hire someone to do art, to do a mural on your behalf. There has to be a sponsor that's not you. So the Elks it's their building. They're the sponsor. They need to take care of their own application. And they need to apply to it through Ann, and she can sort of work on the application in preparation for your judgment. That's how that works.
I'm really confused about, I mean, we did a round of grants. Some of that was for artist projects. We let artists tell us what they needed, like what projects they were wanting doing, or even our organizations, what they needed support with. How is us funding a mural any different than that? That doesn't.
Because the difference is that you're the judge on the murals. You're not the judge. I mean,
We are.
Well, you're the judge on different kinds of art. But see, this is in the city's regs. This is in the city's charter that you are the judge of murals.
Right.
It is not in the city charter that you are the judge of other forms of art. You just simply do that because you want it. That's a strategy to promote the arts.
Yeah, that still doesn't make sense to me because that's what we would be doing if there was a mural project, we would just put a call out and then we would say, we would look at the different qualifications of artists, just like how we did for the sculpture, we looked at different qualifications and I don't see a difference in that. Like that, we are the judge. We say like, oh, this is that we really, out of all the applicants, we feel like this is a worthy project, this is a worthy mural. And then we say, okay, and we fund that person. We don't, there's nothing else.
Going through the process with James and talking to legal counsel about it, we are an advisory committee and we're a quasi-judicial body because we do have a role that is dictated by regulations, city municipal code.
Yeah.
There's different interpretations of how you could do it, but what legal counsel has told us is that because we hold that quasi-judicial board, it would be basically if we were judge and we paid for the defense team to defend a defendant in our case. We're not going to go against the defendant if we're the ones paying that money, right? It becomes a very questionable process then. And it's, again, up to interpretation, but with legal counsel weighing in on it, there's not much more we can do about it. We have to kind of follow what their advisement is. And so that gets, and it's only the murals. And again, I think there's an opportunity there to go back to the city commission and say, can we modify this a bit that in an instance where we want to fund a mural or restoration of a mural, we can somehow pass on our quasi-judicial role, responsibilities to the city commission or someone else to make that decision for us, and we would keep our hands off it to avoid any ethical issues.
And he's right. I mean, it's code. Excuse me. It's code, and it takes a long time to change code because it's the law.
Yeah.
It's almost like going through Congress, changing
So
the law.
this situation just is in relation to murals?
It's only murals.
Okay, because that's how we originally started, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's only murals and that has this interesting connection because you're the judges of murals. You are the judge. You're not the judges of sculpture, although that's what you do, and it's not code. It's not in the code. It's not in the law. You do this because the city commission without passing The city commission has given you the right to advise them, because you're advisors.
So explain what we can do. If we're the judges of murals, what does that look like?
That looks like this. There has to be somebody who's not you that say, I want to do a mural. And then you would ask, staff would ask the question, is it your building? No. Well, then you have to get permission from the building owner to put a mural on your building. And then if you do, that easement is created on the building, whereby that mural will become city property. It would become part of the public domain. Then what happens is that they come to you and say, we would like to do a mural. And there are regulations that you go down and say, well, does it do this? Is it comprised of this? Does it have this kind of material? You just go down your list. And if any one of those things are no, you send them back to redo it, or you say no.
Okay. Okay.
I do think Josh made an important point, and it's a question I would like to also ask. The distinction between, so we understand the process of a brand-new mural. There is the mural code, and the Arts Commission approves new mural design. And that was, and if you haven't seen, I can send you out another copy. It's 3 years old, August of '21, when the mural code got reestablished. So I understand the process for new murals. The process of mural restoration, I think we do need clarification. Josh, you mentioned that you would ask legal counsel. Does that also require?
Yeah,
And the answer is, you can't do it. You cannot repair murals on your own. It has to be another party.
Legal counsel wasn't sure of that, so they were going to look into it.
Well, I'm telling them, that's the way it's going to have to be.
You're overruling legal counsel?
I have my own legal counsel.
Oh, okay.
And our legal counsel is very good, and I use them constantly, but no, they're not going to be able to do that. I can tell you that now.
Yeah.
So whoever is doing the repair, they need to do the repair. They need to put the application in. It can't be you. And it's consistent all the way across, whether it's a new mural or whether or not it's a repair job. You're the judge
Right.
of all murals.
We cannot be the instigators. We cannot say,
be the
hey.
instigators.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay.
Yeah, so.
So when you mentioned the wall on Railroad Street,
Sure.
that would be somebody coming to us and saying, hey, we want to do a mural on this wall.
Right, there would be somebody coming into their, like for instance, that would be the Economic Development Department, coming to you and saying, we want to do this mural along with somebody else.
Yeah, and then we would be partners as the people who are putting
And
out
then
the call for you?
the Economic Development Department would be in partnership with the other artists that want to do that. And then we'll come before you and say, judge what the proposal
Well,
is.
one thing we know how to do, because most of us, and we've done it now repeatedly as a commission, and then a lot of us are artists who have gone through the processes. We know how to put a call out for artists, and that's a function that we do, and we know how to do well now, and we're honing in on how to do it better. So wouldn't the economic development, if you wanted the mural along Railroad, would you not task us with putting a call out for that mural?
To answer your question, if you wanted a mural on that, you would task the Economic Development Department to put out a call, because that's.
But the economic development part, like, part of me saying this, but like, that's something that we all know how to do, like, and have done repeatedly, and as an artist that I have applied for, so I know exactly how grants function and things like that, and calls for art function. Why would you not utilize us? And I understand that you're saying we can't be the people who are saying, hey, we want to put a mural here,
Right.
but would you not like utilize us in writing the call for you guys?
Well, to answer your question, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, you'll have input, and we'll ask you for input.
okay,
And my office will be responsible for developing the RFP on your behalf that you approve. Without your approval, that RFP is not going anywhere.
gotcha, okay.
So you're still the judge.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
You're still a judge.
It is tricky.
It is
like
Well,
real.
and to be clear, you're saying the Arts Commission as an entity itself cannot do that. But in the case of like the Elks, I will probably still continue to help project manage that a bit. And when it comes to the vote, I will abstain from voting and I will step down to not vote in that process. Just like we've had other members of this group help other people through projects on an individual basis and then remove themselves from that vote. So that is kind of the route we end up taking a little bit, because to your point, yes, the Economic Development Committee can, or the Economic Development Department can come and bring an idea to us, but really that's us kind of sitting around waiting for that to happen instead of, if we really want to get our branding out there, one of us is going to have to go out there and kind of kick up some dust to get things kind of shaking and moving. I feel like it's the only way I can see it moving forward in a consistent manner.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Just keep in mind that, yes, you would have to abstain from voting, as you said, but also that's why you have a liaison as an Ann to also help you kick up the dust. That's what she's there for. And so she actually, it's staff work, and that's what she is supposed to be doing. So yes, so but keep in mind that the commission speaks, this is a commission. You speak with one voice, and if anybody speaks on your behalf, you have to vote on having them to speak on your behalf. You just can't let someone just sort of like run with it.
Yeah.
And then we're saying we're speaking on behalf of the Arts Commission when there's no documentation that that's the case.
Yeah.
So be very careful of that, because you are a governmental body, and that's important to keep in mind. It's a vote of, that person is supposed to be representing all of you, and there should be documentation that basically says that we want this person to step out and say this on our behalf, representing us.
Okay. We have both Tima and Emma's hands up. I don't know which one wants to go first.
I just had a quick question. The repaired murals, don't they already have an easement to the city? And would that then make it so they don't need to be reprocessed in the system?
I'm not sure if those easements are still in effect, though. That would be the question. If they're over 5 years, because that's what the current easement, I think, is, then it might be no longer valid.
Well, if it's in the deed, it's going to be forever.
Well, true.
If it's in the deed, that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's going to be the easement forever. But
So
so the easement is important, and so it's an individual piece. You sort of have to research them individually to determine the length of the easement. But nevertheless, you have the authority to submit a list of projects or list of artwork, public art that needs repair. Then and then you identify which piece of art you want, because there's so many of them. And so you identify it. Then you turn that list, you vote on it. These are the 4 pieces we want repaired. And then you vote on it. And then you said so as a commission. And then you turn it over to Ann, and Ann goes to Public Works or whomever to get that artwork repaired, or you've hired somebody and that person does that work. Because you as a commission said, we want these 3 or 4 pieces done, and if you would go out and do that, that's what we commission you to do.
Yeah. Emma, did you want to?
Yeah, there's a lot there. So okay. So my first question, James, is: it sounds like you just said that we can actually hire someone to fix an artwork that we voted on. Is that what I heard you just say? Like, if we're, is that what you just said?
For anything other than a mural, statues, benches, you can actually,
Right.
yeah. I mean, you've been given, I think,
So that's like,
$20,000.
yeah. So that's like, so James is meeting with the salmon sculpture person, but I guess the thing that we haven't done is we haven't voted on, I mean, we've got the inventory, but we haven't like selected 4 items to vote on, or 3 or even 1, like as a commission. So it sounds like that's an issue. Like we'd have to figure that part out.
Did we just didn't vote on them?
We didn't vote, and
gotcha.
part of that, Emma, was I wanted to try and get some numbers, some rough numbers at least, for us to look at when we're looking at those pieces and which ones, because yeah, we have about 28,000 or something to spend on restoration of art pieces. So
Right, but if we have like, so I mean, it sounds like we have to, like, it's not enough just for you to pick that piece, like somehow we have to have a process where we as a commission kind of rank the pieces in order, or we have some sort of a process, right? Is that what you're saying, James, or can we just go with
That's correct.
yeah,
And
okay.
Emma, to be clear, that was what I was gonna, I was trying to get numbers, the pieces, we could take the assessment, and then it would be thrown out to the Arts Commission to select which ones that need repair based on the assessment, based on their pricing, ones we're gonna prioritize.
And I think it makes
Right, so
sense.
under that, we could hire the person who came, could we hire the person who came and gave us the, like, who did the original inventory? Because I know that
Kathy?
she had given us prices before on a lot of those. Could we hire her? That would be a conflict of interest.
No, there would not be a conflict of interest, just as long as you vote on the pieces that you want to, do, and then you can, and that you hired her to do it, she can go out and do it, or it could be somebody else. It doesn't have to be her.
Okay, great. Okay, that's good. So the other thing that it sounds like you're really trying to tell us, James, is that, like, besides, like, especially with murals, but in general, like, I mean, we're supposed to sort of be kind of facilitating arts organizations and not facilitating, but like there's already arts organizations and individuals and properties and business owners who maybe have an interest in the arts. And kind of our job is to help sort of shepherd them towards the city and toward projects that engage with city resources on some level. So like, we're not supposed to really be acting like an arts organization ourselves. Like, we're not the group that initiates a project. We're kind of the group that helps. Like, if somebody comes to us and says, oh, they want to do something, we connect them with the city. But what if we do think of things that we think would be a good idea? Like, if we thought it would be a good idea to have a mural on Railroad Avenue, how do we deal with that since we're a small town and we're all interested in, expanding the arts? How do we deal with that part of it?
It's a microphone. In that case, there has to be someone who's not you who will step forward and say, okay, I would like to do a mural on this wall.
But just for clarification, you're saying this is the city code for murals?
That's right.
Not other things?
Not other things.
We could go forth and be like, oh, we want to do a sculpture project or a public dance project or get a film festival going. You are just saying specifically for murals, we need an outside entity to be the initiators.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And you're right, Emma. You don't have to do everything yourselves. You're right. You're not supposed to be operating as some type of separate entity, doing your own thing, putting up your own murals. You don't have to do all your own art. You don't have to do all that. Engage the community, because that's what the city commission, your boss basically, has asked you to do. Represent them on a subject matter that they need your advice on and that they need your help with. And so that's why you're here.
Sorry, one other clarification question. Do we have to go through the same easement process if the city owns the building in which the mural is going on? So on the railroad one, because the city owns that and not a private entity, we could technically do that one without having to go through the judicial process of approving that mural then.
No, the city is a customer just like everybody else.
Okay, but we didn't approve the mural, we didn't approve a mural application for the bathroom.
That's right.
It just got put up,
Yep.
but it would fall into murals, correct?
But you approved the mural.
We did not approve the mural. There was no easement. There was nothing like that application process that we go through for the mural at the Friends of the Library or for White Rabbit. There was nothing like that for that.
I don't think the Lou counts as a mural.
Yeah,
It's an outdoor building. It's a visible by public.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It would cover everything that a mural on a building down there would cover. So, and if the city is,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, if the city is the same thing, then yeah, I would think we'd have to go through the process there. We approved funding for painting on the old creamery or dairy, and I don't think they ever came back with a mural application. There's been murals that have been approved that haven't followed the process. And I feel like
That's
that kind
actually,
of,
yeah, that's true,
That is, yeah.
Well, if that's the case, that's our fault. Because all of those, let's take the lube. The city owns the easement on that.
Right, so Public Works was the sponsor
So
for
Public
that.
Works is the sponsor on that. So therefore, Public Works came to you, I would suppose, and asked you to review they did.
yeah, we did the
actually review
RFP
mural.
and we selected the piece of art
And
for
so
it.
you selected the piece of art. You didn't have to, I don't think you paid, did you have to pay for it?
Yeah,
No.
we did.
You paid for it,
Paid
didn't
for
you?
it, yeah.
So you approved the mural, and you approved a certain amount of money, yes, that went toward it, because what happened is that, I think, was it money directly from the Arts Commission, or was it a enhancement grant?
It was money directly from the, no, the money to pay the artist came from Public Works as part of that infrastructure project. We selected the Arts Commission selected the artist.
So you selected the artwork.
And technically, if that's a mural, then we shouldn't have been selecting that art. Because we're not allowed to view the content of the art in the mural. We're not allowed to judge it on that fact. We can only judge it on the code, right?
No, he's saying that is what our job is, to judge who gets to do the mural, but whoever says, I want a mural, can't be us. It has to be, so
Yeah.
Public Works said, hey,
Yeah,
we want
but
a
they
mural.
never submitted an application form and an easement form. They never did the paperwork, basically, for that
okay.
mural to go up.
Yeah,
They should have.
I believe they did. You didn't see
We
it.
didn't see it, which we didn't approve it then, which means we didn't follow the code in that case,
Right.
right?
It sounds like I don't know, it sounds like we did not.
Quasi-approved it,
Yeah,
but
it's
we
something
didn't
kind of
really
quasi.
approve it.
And of course, we were early in this process, but
Yeah.
that won't happen again. I can guarantee you, that won't happen again.
And you did have a role to play in
We did pick the art, we picked the
Yeah.
content of the art
Right.
as well, which
He's
we're
saying
not.
we can do.
No.
Oh.
Technically, we're not allowed to look at content. First Amendment laws say we're not allowed to look at content when approving murals. We're only allowed to look at what is being put up and the materials being used and that the easements and paperwork is all there. We're not allowed to look at content at all. That's First Amendment law, and we were directed on that by legal counsel,
Right.
like one of our second meetings as an Arts Commission.
But the applicant asked you to. The applicant.
Does that matter?
Yeah, it matters, because it's their right of public speech. So they're asking you, so that's okay.
So,
You're getting constitutional law, and I think we're getting too
no,
deep.
Oregon constitutional law.
Right, and that's right. Yeah, what you say is correct. I'm not arguing that, but the owner of the speech has the right to ask you, please judge this. And they have the right to do that because it's their speech.
So in the case of the Elks Lodge, helping them pick an artist and stuff like that, we can do all that if they're asking us to do that.
Correct.
In case of the Arts Lodge, the lodge puts in an application to repair their art. And they have to hire someone to do that for them. It cannot be you.
But what's the difference then if the city is an entity and the Elks Lodge is an entity in relation to us? And
Because the city, it's kind of an interesting situation because the city is the entity. And it's the city's right of way. And it's the city's easement. You don't get that kind of combination with everybody that comes before you.
No, I understand, but I haven't seen a clear distinction yet if you're saying that the city would have to do the same process on its pieces of art, its murals, that any private entity would in terms of submitting the application. So,
I'd still like to submit that the case of the Lou is different than other kinds of murals.
It's a slight difference, but let me put it this way. From this point forward, We will be doing it by the book.
Okay.
Particularly when it comes to mural. Now, the other things, as you mentioned, that's a different matter. But the mural, you're the judge. An application has to be put into you to review the work, not what's said in the work, but the work, not the words.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Josh, I have a follow-up question for you in your presentation. You had mentioned something about City Works, what they're responsible for as far as
Yeah,
maintenance.
so
Do you have,
I have the list of ones that would likely need some type of public works. In the assessment that Kathy did, she was able to confirm a few pieces that are in their maintenance cycle.
yeah,
So those are probably getting cleaned regularly, but she wasn't able to confirm a handful of them. So we need to talk to Public Works about, are these in your list? Can you confirm that they're in your list? And if not, can we get them in your list to make sure that they're getting done and regularly cleaned? And
So to that question, I did speak with Public Works this week, and they do not have a regular cleaning schedule for public art. Currently, what happens now, they respond to when people notice reports about graffiti or something that's been damaged, they get a request from the public, can you clean this up? And that's what they respond to. They did say that they would be happy to meet with us and see if there's something that like a certain
and that
wear and
was-
tear, seasonal, we could establish something like that.
yeah.
so, oh, sorry.
Emma had her hand up. I don't know if, maybe not anymore.
I'm really sorry, I'm going to ask another mural-related question.
Wait, I have one more follow-up on that. Okay, go ahead. So my question to you, Josh, because I too am very action-oriented. Is that something you were planning on doing, and have you reached out to get a meeting going with?
Yeah, so
Anna
I had asked Ann to find the right contact there to speak with, and we can meet with them.
Cool.
So yeah, that's what she was doing.
Okay, cool, go ahead.
So I just want to make sure that I'm clear. If we did decide or recognize that a mural needed to be repaired, we cannot make the application ourselves. However, could we reach out to the owner of the building and ask them to do that or guide them through that process in order to get the ball rolling on that?
Ann needs to reach out to that
Okay,
person.
but Ann could do that, and
Ann
that
could
would be
do that.
okay.
Cool.
You
Okay.
can't do that.
Okay, but we could ask Ann to
You
do
can
that.
ask Ann to do that.
So as we're going through these lists of art the list of art that needs to be repaired.
Murals.
If we identify a mural
Okay.
that we would like to have repaired, Ann can reach out to that building owner and assist them in filing that application.
Right.
And at that point, we can,
Now, of course, the person
Help
who.
them make that happen.
The person you might, that would be approached is up to them, obviously, it's up to them if they want to do a mural or not, of course. And if it's not their building, they're going to have to get permission before they come to you to do all that. But yes, with Ann, that process begins.
Okay, cool.
we wouldn't want to have to just sit and wait for a building with a faded mural for the owner to decide on their own that it needed to happen.
Yeah, but
We
the
could help
the owner may say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. I'm
Yeah.
okay, I'm all right, and leave me alone.
Yeah,
And there's nothing you can do about it because it's their building.
Sure.
okay. Do we feel comfortable moving on from this discussion into any communications? Are there any communications? What's going on with everybody? Anybody have something to share?
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just, again, that Porch Fest was a resounding success, and I hope that a lot of you got to come out and walk around and see what was going on there. And one thing that I would like to discuss with the Arts Commission is partnering with us for our youth music competition that we had called Battle of the Bands. We did that the weekend before. So that's an opportunity, like James was talking about, for a youth competition. And the winner of that competition plays at Porch Fest. So that's a conversation that we can have in the future, but that would be a way for Arts Commission to come in without having to fund the entire thing.
I have something to share. So in December, I have a solo show at Imperfecta Gallery that is about a series I'm doing around landscapes at specifically where historic buildings or structures are at. And so to gain interest in that, Daria, who owns Imperfecta, and I are hosting a foraging event on her property with an artist talk. So I'm also a forager, so I'll be doing like a guided foraging walk on her property, and then we'll come back to the house, and if there's anything that people have foraged that they want to bring home or even eat there, I'll tell them how to process it and use it, and then we'll do an artist talk with a preview of some of the work. So, and that's happening September 29th. That's a Sunday. So, want to let you guys know. Okay, do I call the meeting to adjourn, or does anybody have
I
any?
thought Emma had her hand up, but maybe she put it down.
Do Emma or Tima either have anything to add before?
I'll just say that the Arts Festival last weekend was great. We had the Arts Commission paperwork and board that Trieste made available for patrons, and they did put in a couple comments, but it was great for the Arts Commission to have a presence there.
Thank you, Tima, for staffing that, and anybody else who has supported you at the table. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think, do I just say the meeting's adjourned now? Do I have to do the gavel?
You feel free to say it's adjourned and use the gavel.
Meeting's adjourned.